Pack your things and save yourself. Those were the words my own daughter whispered to me in front of my son-in-law, sliding a yellow manila envelope toward me with trembling hands. Don't open it here, Mom. You only have 24 hours. Pack your things. Her voice was barely a thread, but her eyes were screaming something I couldn't decipher. Terror, urgency, something that chilled my blood while Julian, her husband, smiled from the other side of the table as if nothing were happening, as if that envelope didn't exist, as if my world weren't about to fall apart. My name is Eleanor. I am 69 years old. I raised that girl. I gave her everything. And now she was there, in front of me, trembling while her husband cut his steak with a calm that I found disturbing. Claire looked away quickly, as if she couldn't bear my confusion. I slipped the envelope into the pocket of my burgundy sweater, feeling the paper crinkle against my chest. 24 hours. For what? To leave my own home. The house I built with my late husband over 40 years. The house where Claire was born, where we celebrated every birthday, every Christmas, every important moment of our lives. That night, after dinner, I went up to my room with heavy legs. I locked the door. My hands were shaking so much I could barely open the envelope. Inside was a small black thumb drive, unmarked. There was also a handwritten note in a rushed, almost illegible script. It said, "Mrs. Eleanor, my name is Sophia. I worked in your house 3 months ago as a housekeeper. I was fired when I overheard something I shouldn't have. Please, listen to what's on this device. Your life is in danger. Don't trust anyone in that house. You have 24 hours before they execute the plan. Run. Get help. You are not crazy. They want everyone to think you are." I felt the floor move beneath my feet. Sophia. I vaguely remembered a quiet girl Claire had hired and fired in less than a month. Claire told me the girl stole, that she was difficult, that she wasn't worth it. I never questioned her. I trusted my daughter. I always did. I plugged the thumb drive into my laptop with clumsy fingers. The screen lit up, showing 5 audio files. The first was called Proof 1 Kitchen Conversation. I clicked, and then I heard my daughter's voice. Clear, cold, calculating. "Julian, I already spoke with Dr. Vincent. He says that with the papers I gave him, he can sign the committal order without any problem. Mom is having episodes of confusion. She forgets things. She gets aggressive. It's all documented. No one is going to question anything." Julian's voice replied with that same chilling calm I had seen at dinner. "Perfect. And the money?" Claire sighed. "As soon as she's committed, we can access her accounts. She has over $200,000 in investments, plus Dad's monthly pension, plus this house, which is easily worth $500,000. Julian, this changes our lives. We can sell everything, move to Miami like we always wanted. She'll be well cared for at the nursing home. She won't even know what happened." I stopped the recording. I couldn't breathe. The room was spinning. My own daughter, my Claire, the baby I held in my arms, the girl who cried on my shoulder when her father died 2 years ago. That same girl was planning to lock me away in a psychiatric ward, to steal everything from me, to make me disappear. My hands gripped the mouse until my knuckles turned white. I had to keep listening. I had to know everything. The second file was even worse. It was Claire talking to someone on the phone. "Yes, Dr. Vincent, my mother has shown clear signs of senile dementia. Yesterday she left the stove on. The day before yesterday, she couldn't remember where she put her keys. She's disoriented. Sometimes she asks me about my father as if she doesn't know he died. We need to act fast before she hurts herself or someone else." Every word was a perfectly constructed lie. I had never left the stove on. My keys were always in the same place. And I had never, ever asked about my husband as if he were still alive. I mourned his absence every day, but I knew perfectly well he was gone. The third file destroyed me. It was Julian talking to someone else, probably a lawyer. "Look, the woman is mentally incapacitated. We have witnesses, the housekeeper, neighbors, family members. They'll all testify that she's lost her mind. Once she's committed, my wife can get power of attorney over her assets. It's a standard process." The other voice, male and professional, asked, "And what if she resists?" Julian laughed. a dry, humorless laugh. She's not going to resist. By the time she realizes what's happening, she'll already be sedated and on her way to the St. Raphael Psychiatric Center. They have a special wing for difficult patients. She can scream all she wants there. Nobody will listen to her. I closed the laptop. I collapsed onto the bed. I cried in silence, biting my fist to keep from making a sound. 24 hours. I had 24 hours before they came for me. Before they drugged me, dragged me away, locked me up like an animal, took away my name, my dignity, my life, and all of it orchestrated by the person I trusted most in this world, by my own blood. I heard footsteps in the hallway. They stopped in front of my door. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought they would hear it. The doorknob turned slightly. Someone was testing if I had locked it. I held my breath. Finally, the footsteps moved away. It was Claire. She was checking if I was asleep, if I was vulnerable, if it was time to act. But not tonight. Sophia had said 24 hours. That meant the plan was for tomorrow. I got up silently. I checked my cell phone. It was 11 o'clock at night. I needed to think. I needed a plan. I couldn't just run. I needed evidence. I needed to protect myself legally. I needed someone who would believe me. I thought of my friends. But Claire had systematically pushed them away over the last few months. Mom, don't go out so much with Carol. You get too tired. Mom, Susan fills your head with gossip. Mom, it's better if you stay home. You're safer here. Now it all made sense. She had isolated me. I had become a prisoner in my own home without even realizing it. Then I remembered Arthur. Arthur Morgan, my late husband's lawyer. An honest man who had handled our legal affairs for 20 years. If anyone could help me, it was him. I looked up his number in my old paper address book. I still had it. I looked at the clock. Too late to call. I would have to wait until early tomorrow. But how could I get out of the house without raising suspicion? Claire and Julian watched my every move. I listened to the audio files again. There were 2 more. The 4th one was devastating. Claire was talking to Isabella, her cousin. It's all set, Izzy. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning, the doctor is coming with 2 orderlies. They're going to knock on the door like it's a routine medical visit. Mom won't suspect a thing. They'll give her an injection, something mild, so she doesn't get agitated. And that's it. In 2 hours, she'll be committed. By Friday, all the asset transfer papers will be signed. Isabella asked with a doubtful voice. But Claire, she's your mom. Doesn't this bother you? My daughter's reply was like a knife. Mom had her life. Now it's my turn. Besides, she'll be better cared for at the nursing home than here. It's for the best, for everyone. The 5th and final file was a conversation between Julian and Dr. Vincent, finalizing the details. Doctor, the payment is $10,000, $5,000 now. $5,000 when everything is signed. I need you to declare that the patient is a danger to herself, that she tried to hurt herself, that she has hallucinations. Whatever it takes for the judge to approve the immediate involuntary commitment. The doctor agreed without hesitation. They were professionals, criminals with degrees and offices. I didn't cry anymore. The sadness transformed into something different, into clarity, into determination. My daughter had underestimated me. She thought I was a helpless, confused old woman, easy to manipulate. But she forgot something fundamental. I had survived my husband's death. I had built a business from scratch alongside him. I had faced crises, losses, betrayals from partners. I was not fragile. I was a survivor. And now, I had to survive my own daughter. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the bed, my back against the wall, staring at the locked door. Every noise made me jump, every creak of the wood, every distant footstep. I thought about everything that had happened in the last 6 months that I stupidly had ignored. The signs were all there, all of them. But I was blind, blinded by motherly love, blinded by trust, blinded by that unwavering faith a mother has in her child. I remembered when Claire started suggesting I was forgetting things. Mom, you told me yesterday you were going to the market, and you didn't go. You fell asleep. I didn't remember saying that. Mom, You left your keys in the front door all night. Anyone could have come in. Impossible. I always put my keys in the same drawer by the entrance. Mom, you put salt in your coffee instead of sugar. You didn't even notice until you tasted it. That hadn't happened either. But every time I tried to defend myself, Claire would look at me with that expression of sweet concern, touching my arm gently. It's normal, Mom. Age gets to all of us. Don't worry. I'm here to take care of you. Now I understood. Every false incident was another brick in the construction of my supposed dementia. Every lie, repeated in front of neighbors, in front of acquaintances, in front of anyone who would listen, created a narrative. Poor Eleanor is losing her mind. What a shame. It's a good thing Claire is there to take care of her. No one would question anything when the time came to commit me. They would all say, it was inevitable. She wasn't well. It's what's best for her. I also remembered how Claire had canceled my appointments with Dr. Roberts, my primary care physician for 15 years. Mom, Dr. Roberts is getting too old. I found you a new one, more up to date. Dr. Vincent, he's excellent. I went to one appointment with Vincent, a man in his 40s, overly friendly, overly interested in asking me questions about my memory, my mood, my routines. He made me uncomfortable. I told Claire I preferred to go back to Dr. Roberts. She insisted. Mom, Vincent has modern equipment. He can run full diagnostics. Trust me. Now I knew why. Vincent was part of the plan. The corrupt doctor willing to sign any paper for $10,000. And Julian, who was always so nice to me, too nice. Eleanor, I love you like my own mother. You know you can count on me for anything. He would bring me tea at night. He insisted I take my vitamins. I took them without suspicion. Now I wondered if there had been something else in those pills. Something to make me drowsy. Something to cloud my mind. Something to make me appear genuinely confused in front of visitors. I looked at the clock. 5 o'clock in the morning. In 5 hours, Dr. Vincent would come with his orderlies, knocking on the door, smiling, deceiving me, injecting me, dragging me away. I needed to get out of this house before 10 o'clock. But how? Claire and Julian woke up at 7. They monitored my every move. If I tried to leave early, they would stop me. They would invent some excuse. Mom, where are you going so early? You're confused. Go back to bed. Rest. Then it occurred to me. On Wednesdays, for years, I had gone for a walk in the park at 6:30 in the morning. It was my routine. Claire knew this. Maybe, just maybe, if I acted completely normal, they would let me leave. After all, the plan was for 10 o'clock, 3.5 hours. Enough time to get to Arthur's office. Enough time to get help. Enough time to save my life. I dressed carefully. Comfortable brown pants, a white blouse, a gray sweater, sneakers. The outfit I always wore for walking. I put the thumb drive in the inner pocket of my purse. I also packed printed copies of important documents. The deed to the house, bank statements, my ID, my husband's will. If I was going to fight this legally, I needed proof of everything. I needed to show that I was the rightful owner of my assets, that I was of sound mind, that this was a fraud. At 6:20, I went downstairs, trying to walk naturally. My heart was pounding, but I kept my expression calm. Claire was in the kitchen making coffee. She looked at me, surprised. Mom, what are you doing up so early? I smiled at her. I'm going for my walk in the park, honey. Just like always. It's a nice day. She exchanged a quick glance with Julian, who was sitting at the table reading the paper. He gave her an almost imperceptible nod. Claire looked back at me. Okay, Mom, but don't be long. You have your appointment with Dr. Vincent at 10 today. It's important, don't forget. An appointment. The irony. An appointment for my own kidnapping. I nodded meekly. Of course, dear. I won't forget. I'll be back in an hour. I walked out the front door, feeling their eyes on my back. I walked slowly down the sidewalk. I took a deep breath. 1 block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks. When I was far enough away, I pulled out my cell phone and called a cab. My voice was shaking. Please, I need a ride from the corner of Liberty Avenue and Maple Street. It's urgent. The dispatcher told me one would be there in 10 minutes. 10 eternal minutes during which I looked over my shoulder every 5 seconds, expecting to see Julian running after me. The cab arrived. An older man with a gray mustache opened the door for me. "Good morning, ma'am." "Where to?" I gave him the address of Arthur Morgan's office, downtown. We pulled away. I looked out the back window. No one was following us. Not yet. I breathed with difficulty. My hands were shaking so badly I had to sit on them. The driver watched me in the rearview mirror. "Are you all right, ma'am?" "You look pale." I forced a smile. "I'm fine. Just a little tired. Thank you." We arrived at Arthur's office building at 7:15. I paid the driver with a $20 bill. "Keep the change." "Thank you." I went up to the 3rd floor in the elevator. The hallway was empty. Too early. The offices weren't open yet. I sat on the floor in front of the glass door that read, "Arthur Morgan, Attorney at Law, Civil and Family Law." I waited. Every minute felt like an hour. Every noise made me jump. I imagined Claire discovering I hadn't come back from the park. I imagined her panic, her fury, her frantic calls to my cell phone. I pulled out my phone. 12 missed calls. 20 text messages. "Mom, where are you?" "Mom, answer me." "Mom, we're worried." "Mom, come home." "Mom, please." I turned it off. At 8:30, I heard footsteps in the hallway. A man in his 60s, dark gray suit, gray hair combed perfectly, a leather briefcase in his hand. Arthur. He saw me sitting on the floor and frowned, confused. "Eleanor, Mrs. Eleanor, what are you doing here?" "What's happened?" I stood up with difficulty. My legs ached. "Arthur, I need your help. My life is in danger. My daughter is trying to have me committed to a psychiatric hospital to steal from me. I have proof. Please. You have to listen to me. I don't have much time." Arthur looked at me intently, looking for signs of madness, perhaps, looking for confusion, but he saw something else. He saw real fear. He saw authentic desperation. He unlocked his office door. "Come in, Eleanor. Tell me everything." We went inside. He locked the door behind us. I sat across from his dark wooden desk. I pulled the thumb drive from my purse with trembling hands. "You need to hear this. It's all recorded. The conversations, the entire plan, the names, the dates, everything." Arthur plugged the thumb drive into his computer. We listened to the 5 audio files in sepulchral silence. I watched his expression change, from skepticism to surprise, from surprise to indignation, from indignation to contained fury. When the last file finished, he leaned back in his chair and took off his glasses. He cleaned them slowly. Finally, he spoke. "Eleanor, this is criminal. This is conspiracy to commit fraud. Conspiracy to commit kidnapping and false imprisonment. Forgery of medical documents. Bribery of a medical professional. Your daughter and son-in-law could go to prison for years." I felt relief and terror at the same time. "Arthur, they're coming for me at 10 o'clock this morning. They must be looking for me by now. I can't go back to that house. What do I do? Where do I go?" Arthur stood up. "First, we're going to do several things. 1, we are going immediately to an independent psychiatrist, someone I know and trust, Dr. Benjamin Cole. He is going to evaluate you and certify in writing that you are of perfectly sound mind. That destroys their entire dementia narrative. 2, we are going to file a formal complaint with the district attorney's office with these recordings as evidence. 3, we are going to request a restraining order against your daughter and son-in-law. And 4, we are going to regain full control of your assets with a notarized document that prevents any transfer without your express authorization. Do you agree?" I nodded, unable to speak. Tears were streaming down my cheeks. "Thank you, Arthur. Thank you." He placed a hand on my shoulder. "Your husband was my friend for 20 years, Eleanor. He asked me to look after you if anything happened to him. I will not fail him. We are going to stop this. You have my word." We left Arthur's office like 2 soldiers going to war. He made several calls from the car as he drove toward Dr. Benjamin Cole's office. "Ben, it's Arthur Morgan. I need an urgent favor. I have a client who requires an immediate psychiatric evaluation. It's a legal emergency. Can you see us now? Yes, we're on our way. Thank you. He hung up and glanced at me. Dr. Cole is one of the most respected psychiatrists in the city. His testimony carries weight with any judge. No one will be able to question his diagnosis. We arrived at a modern medical building uptown. We went up to the 5th floor. The office was spacious, filled with natural light, cream-colored walls, and framed diplomas everywhere. Dr. Cole was a man in his 50s, with a short salt and pepper beard and a kind but penetrating gaze. Mrs. Eleanor, please sit down. Arthur briefly explained your situation. I'm going to ask you some standard questions and run a few evaluations. Please answer calmly and honestly. There are no right or wrong answers. I just need to understand your current mental state. For 2 hours, he tested me. Memory questions, questions about time and place, logical reasoning, emotional state. What day is it today? Wednesday, November 4th. What city are we in? Here, in the city. Who is the current president? I answered, without hesitation. Tell me what you had for breakfast today. I didn't have breakfast. I left my house before dawn, fleeing from my daughter who wants to lock me in a psychiatric hospital to steal from me. He didn't flinch. He wrote something in his notebook. Why do you believe your daughter wants to do that? Because I have recordings of her and her husband planning to have me committed with false documents to get my inheritance. My husband died 2 years ago and left properties and investments worth over $700,000. My daughter wants it all. Dr. Cole listened intently. He wrote. He looked me in the eyes. He asked me to repeat sequences of numbers, to solve simple math problems, to tell him my life story, from childhood. I told him about my marriage, about how we built a small import business that grew over the years, about sending Claire to college, about how my husband died of a sudden heart attack in his sleep, about how Claire married Julian 6 months after the funeral, about how, at first, everything seemed normal, but then the strange comments began about my memory, my behavior, my mental health. When he finished, Dr. Cole took off his glasses and looked at me directly. Mrs. Eleanor, you exhibit 0 signs of dementia, cognitive decline, or any mental illness. Your memory is excellent. Your orientation is perfect. Your logical reasoning is intact. Your emotional response is completely appropriate given the extreme circumstances you are experiencing. In fact, your lucidity is remarkable. What you are describing is a clear case of gaslighting, a form of psychological abuse where the perpetrator manipulates the victim into doubting their own sanity. I am going to issue a full psychiatric report certifying your complete mental capacity. This document is legally binding and can be used in any court of law. I wept again, but this time with relief. Thank you, doctor. Thank you. You don't know what it means to hear that. For months, they made me believe I was losing my mind, that I was the one who was wrong. He shook his head. You are not wrong, ma'am. You are the victim of a crime. And I'm glad you had the courage to escape and seek help. Many people in your situation don't make it. We left the office with the psychiatric report in hand. Arthur read it as we walked to the car. Perfect. This is exactly what we needed. Now, we go straight to the district attorney's office. I have a contact in the Financial Crimes Division. Agent Maya Jackson. She's incorruptible and efficient. She will take your report. We got in the car. Arthur drove quickly but safely. I checked my phone. I had turned it on for a moment. 43 missed calls. 52 messages. The last ones were no longer sweet. Mom, where the hell are you? Mom, this is ridiculous. Mom, if you don't come back, we're going to have to call the police. Mom, you have us so worried. This isn't normal. See? You're not well. I showed the messages to Arthur. He snorted. Classic. Now they're trying to make you look disoriented. If you showed up at a police station alone saying your daughter wants to lock you up without proof, you'd look like a confused old woman. That's why your daughter gave you that envelope. Someone in that house has a conscience after all. I thought of Sophia, the fired housekeeper. A brave young woman who risked a lot to warn me. Someday, I would have to thank her personally. We arrived at the DA's building at 11:30 in the morning. An hour and a half had passed since Dr. Vincent and his orderlies were supposed to arrive at my house. I imagined the scene. Claire, opening the door with a fake look of concern. "Oh, doctor, thank goodness you're here. My mom went for a walk this morning and hasn't come back. We're so worried. I think she's disoriented." Dr. Vincent coming in, waiting. Julian calling me over and over, the anxiety building. The plan falling apart. Arthur took me directly to the 3rd floor. He knocked on an office door that read, "Agent Maya Jackson, Financial Crimes Division." A woman in her 40s, with short black hair, a gray suit, and a serious expression, received us. "Arthur, what a surprise. What brings you here?" He gestured toward me. "Maya, I'd like to introduce Mrs. Eleanor Martinez. She is here to file a complaint for attempted fraud, conspiracy to commit false imprisonment, and forgery. We have audio evidence. We have a psychiatric report. And we don't have much time before the perpetrators realize the plan has failed and try to destroy evidence." Agent Jackson looked at us both. She stood up. "Sit down. Tell me everything from the beginning. Don't leave out a single detail." For the next hour, I told her the whole story. I showed her the recordings. I gave her Dr. Cole's report. I showed her the text messages from Claire. I explained how they had isolated me socially, how they had built a false narrative of dementia, how they had bribed a doctor, how they planned to drug me and have me committed today, at 10 o'clock in the morning. Agent Jackson listened, taking notes. Her expression hardened with every detail. When I finished, she leaned back in her chair and exhaled slowly. "Mrs. Eleanor, what you are describing constitutes several serious felonies. Conspiracy to commit fraud, attempted kidnapping, forgery, bribery, elder financial abuse. We are talking about penalties that could add up to 15 years in prison. Are you willing to proceed legally against your daughter and son-in-law?" The question hit me like a fist. Was I willing to send my own daughter to jail? My baby girl. The baby I held. The girl I taught to walk. But then I remembered her voice on the recordings. Cold. Calculating. Remorseless. Mom had her life. Now it's my turn. That wasn't my daughter. Or maybe it was, and I had just never truly known her. I looked Agent Jackson directly in the eyes. "Yes, I am. I want them to pay for what they tried to do to me." Agent Jackson got to work immediately. She made copies of all the audio files. She scanned Dr. Cole's report. She photographed the text messages on my phone. She took my formal statement, word for word, typing quickly on her computer. Meanwhile, Arthur was making calls, contacting a notary to legally secure my properties, talking to legal colleagues to prepare a defense. Everything was moving so fast I could barely process it. "Mrs. Eleanor, I need the full names of everyone involved." Agent Jackson had an official form in front of her. "Claire Martinez Ochoa, my daughter. Julian Ochoa, my son-in-law. Dr. Vincent. I don't know his first name. The corrupt psychiatrist. And the housekeeper who warned me is named Sophia, but I don't remember her last name. Claire fired her 3 months ago." The agent wrote it all down. "We will locate that housekeeper. Her testimony could be crucial. We are also going to investigate this Dr. Vincent. If he did this to you, he's probably done it to other patients. These criminals rarely act just once." Arthur interrupted. "Maya, we need to act today. If we wait, Claire and Julian will realize Eleanor is onto them. They'll destroy evidence. They'll flee. They'll transfer money to offshore accounts. We need to freeze their assets and arrest them before it's too late." Agent Jackson nodded. "I agree. I'm going to request an emergency arrest warrant. I'm also going to request an immediate freeze on Claire and Julian's bank accounts. And I'm sending officers to Mrs. Eleanor's house to secure any physical evidence that might exist. False documents, fraudulent prescriptions, anything." My phone vibrated again. It was Claire. I decided to answer. Agent Jackson motioned for me to put it on speaker. "Mom, my God, where are you? We're desperate. We've called hospitals, the police, everywhere. Please tell me you're okay." Her voice sounded sweet, worried, perfectly acted. I replied calmly, I'm fine, Claire. I'm in a safe place. There was a long silence. Then her tone changed subtly. Mom, you need to come home. You have your appointment with Dr. Vincent. It's important. He's waiting for you. You can't just cancel like this. Agent Jackson waved for me to keep talking. I'm not coming back, Claire, and I'm not seeing Dr. Vincent. I know everything. I heard the recordings. I know you plan to lock me up. I know you want to steal from me. It's over. Absolute silence from the other end. I could imagine her face. The panic, the mind working frantically, looking for a way out. Finally, she spoke. And now her voice was hard, the mask gone. Who's been filling your head with these ideas? Mom, you're paranoid. You're sick. That's why you need professional help. Nobody wants to steal from you. We just want what's best for you. Arthur signaled for me to cut the call. I hung up. Agent Jackson was smiling grimly. Perfect. That call confirms they know you've discovered the plan. Her reaction says it all. Now I have justification to act immediately. She left to request the arrest warrants. Arthur took my hand. Eleanor, you need to stay somewhere safe until this is resolved. You can't go back to your house. I know a discreet hotel where you can stay. I'll go with you. We'll keep you protected until Claire and Julian are in custody. I nodded. I had no strength left to argue. I was exhausted, physically and emotionally devastated. We left the DA's building around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Arthur took me to a small hotel in a quiet part of the city. He registered a room under his name for security. Mrs. Eleanor, get some rest. Eat something. I'm going to take care of some legal matters. Tomorrow morning, we'll go to the notary to protect all your properties. Agent Jackson will call me when she has news about the arrest warrants. Everything is going to be all right, I promise. I was left alone in the hotel room. It was simple but clean. A bed with a tangent-colored bedspread, a small television, a bathroom with white tiles. I sat on the bed without even taking off my shoes. I looked at the phone. More messages from Claire. Threatening now. Mom, this is a mistake. You're going to ruin us. Think about your granddaughter. Think about the family. You can't do this to us. What are the neighbors going to say? What is everyone going to think? I deleted the messages without replying. There was nothing left to say. I tried to sleep, but I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Claire's face as a child, 5 years old, laughing as I pushed her on the park swing, 10 years old, crying in my arms when she hurt her knee, 15 years old, hugging me tight when I told her I was proud of her, 22 years old, graduating from college with her business degree, me, applauding from the stands, 25 years old, her wedding day with Julian, me, crying with happiness as I watched her walk down the aisle in her ivory dress. Where was the sign? At what point had my daughter turned into this? The phone rang. It was Agent Jackson. Mrs. Eleanor, I have news. The judge approved the arrest warrants for Claire Martinez and Julian Ochoa. He also approved a search warrant for your home. Tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the morning, we are going to execute both warrants simultaneously. One team will arrest your daughter and son-in-law. Another team will search the house for evidence. I want you to be present during the search. Your presence is legally important. Mr. Morgan can accompany you. Arrive at your home at 7 o'clock sharp, not before. We need the element of surprise. I hung up. 7 o'clock in the morning. In less than 16 hours, I would see my daughter in handcuffs, arrested, formally accused of criminal conspiracy. Part of me still couldn't believe it. Another part of me, the part that had heard those recordings, knew it was necessary, that it was just, that it was the only way to stop her before she destroyed more lives. Because if she would do this to me, her own mother, what would she do to other people? To her future mother-in-law, if Julian had family? To anyone who stood between her and money and power? I finally got up and took a shower. The hot water helped relax my tense muscles. I put on the pajamas Arthur had been thoughtful enough to buy me at a nearby store. I ordered room service, vegetable soup, and toast. I ate mechanically, tasting nothing. I turned on the television to distract myself, but I couldn't concentrate. All the channels showed empty programs. Sitcoms without humor, depressing news. I turned it all off. I thought about my husband, about how much I missed him, about how he would have handled this situation. He probably would have seen the signs before I did. He was always more suspicious, more cautious with people. I was the one who always saw the best in everyone, the one who gave second chances, the one who believed in human kindness. That naivety almost cost me my freedom. It almost cost me everything. My husband protected me in life. And now, somehow, he had protected me in death as well, because he chose Arthur as his lawyer. An honest man who didn't hesitate to help me, who didn't question my sanity, who believed me from the first moment. The phone vibrated one last time. Another message. But this time, it wasn't from Claire. It was from an unknown number. Mrs. Eleanor, this is Sophia Ruiz, the housekeeper who worked at your house. I'm so glad to hear you're safe. Agent Jackson contacted me. I'm going to testify about everything I heard while I worked there. Your daughter and son-in-law are going to pay for what they tried to do to you. You didn't deserve this. No one does. Take care. I read the message 3 times. That brave girl, that stranger who risked her job, her safety, maybe even her life, to warn me. I replied. Thank you, Sophia. Thank you for saving me. I will never forget what you did for me. I finally lay down around midnight. Tomorrow would be the hardest day of my life. I would see my daughter arrested. I would see my house searched like a crime scene. I would face the full reality of this nightmare. But at least I would be alive. At least I would be free. At least I would have the chance to rebuild what was left of my life. I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning without needing an alarm. I hadn't really slept. I had only closed my eyes for short intervals, waking up each time with my heart racing, reliving fragments of the recordings in my mind. Claire's voice saying, "Mom had her life. Now it's my turn." That phrase haunted me like a ghost. I got up. I got dressed in the same clothes from the day before. I had nothing else. Arthur knocked on the door at 6:15. He brought coffee and pastries. "Good morning, Eleanor. How did you sleep?" I lied. "Fine. Thank you for breakfast." He didn't believe me but said nothing. We arrived at my house at 5 minutes to 7. There were 3 unmarked police cars, parked discreetly 1 street over. Agent Jackson was there with 4 other agents, 2 men, 2 women, all wearing tactical vests that said, "Paulus and District Attorney." "Good morning, Mrs. Eleanor. Are you ready?" I nodded, though I wasn't sure I was. Agent Jackson explained the procedure. "We are going to knock on the door. When they open it, we will identify ourselves and present the judicial warrants. We will arrest Claire Martinez and Julian Ochoa. Then we will conduct a full search of the premises. You can come in with us, but stay close to me at all times. If you find anything relevant, do not touch it. Just point it out to me." "Understood." Yes, understood. We walked toward my house, the house where I had lived for 40 years, the house where I raised my daughter, the house that now felt like enemy territory. Agent Jackson rang the doorbell. Once, twice. I heard footsteps inside. The door opened. It was Julian. He was in his pajamas, disheveled, with puffy eyes. He saw us, and his expression changed instantly from confusion to terror. "What? What is this?" Agent Jackson showed her badge and the warrants. Julian Ochoa. "I have a warrant for your arrest for the crimes of conspiracy to commit fraud, forgery, and attempted kidnapping. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law." Julian backed away. No. This is a mistake. I haven't done anything. It's her. It's Eleanor. She's crazy. She made all this up." The agents moved in. They handcuffed him. He struggled. Claire, call a lawyer. Call your uncle. Do something." Claire appeared at the top of the stairs. She was wearing a green silk robe. She saw the scene and froze. Her gaze met mine. For a second, I saw something in her eyes. Fear, surprise, but also something darker. Hate, pure hate, directed at me. "Claire Martinez Ochoa, come down immediately. I have a warrant for your arrest." Agent Jackson, accompanied by a female officer, went up the stairs. Claire didn't move. Mom, how could you? How could you do this to me? I'm your daughter, your only daughter. I gave you everything. I took care of you. And this is how you repay me? By calling the police? By making up lies? By ruining my life? Her voice was breaking, but there were no tears, just rage. Rage that had been building for who knows how long. I didn't make anything up, Claire. I have the recordings. Your voice. Planning to have me committed. Planning to rob me. Planning to destroy me. She laughed. A bitter, horrible laugh. Destroy you? Please, Mom. You were already destroyed. Ever since Dad died, you haven't done anything but cry and complain, living in the past, clinging to memories. This house, this neighborhood, everything is stagnant. I deserved more. Julian and I deserved more. We worked hard. We made sacrifices. And you're just sitting on a fortune you don't even use, that you don't even enjoy. Just hoarding money like a bitter, stingy old woman. The officers handcuffed her. She didn't resist physically, but she kept talking, shouting. Do you know how hard it was to pretend I loved you all these months? How hard it was to smile at you, to make you food, to listen to your boring stories over and over? I did it for the money, for our future, because Dad left everything to you and nothing to me. Nothing but a miserable $2,000 monthly allowance, while you have $700,000 in the bank doing nothing. It's unfair. It's selfish. I was just taking back what was mine. They brought her down the stairs. She passed right by me. She stopped. She looked at me with contempt. I hope you're happy, Mom. You just sent your own daughter to jail. You're going to die alone, completely alone. No one will be by your side. No one will mourn you. You're going to rot in this empty house, surrounded by your precious money that you protect so much. And when you die, the government will take it all, because you don't have a family anymore. You don't have anyone. You destroyed me. But you destroyed yourself, too. The agents took her away, her and Julian. They put them in separate patrol cars. I watched them drive away down the street, my daughter, in handcuffs, like a common criminal, which is what she was. A criminal. A woman capable of betraying her own mother for money, for greed, for empty ambition. My legs were shaking. Arthur held my arm. Eleanor, breathe. It's okay. It's over. But it wasn't over. It was just beginning. We went into the house. The agents began the search. They went through each room methodically. In Claire's home office, they found a folder labeled Mom, Medical Docs. Inside were fake reports signed by Dr. Vincent, fabricated evaluations, diagnoses of severe dementia, recommendations for immediate inpatient care. All of it falsified. All of it dated over the last 6 months. Agent Jackson photographed every page. This is solid gold evidence. Dr. Vincent is going down too. In the drawer of Julian's desk, they found preliminary sales contracts for my house. They already had a buyer, a real estate firm willing to pay $450,000. The contract was almost ready. All it needed was my signature, or rather, the forgery of my signature, once I was locked away and declared legally incompetent. They also found my bank statements, which I didn't remember sharing. They had obtained them illegally, probably by bribing someone at the bank. Or maybe Claire had access to my email without my knowledge. In the room that had been mine, they found something even more disturbing. A shoebox hidden in the back of the closet. Inside were pill bottles, sedatives, anti-anxiety pills, sleeping pills, all with my name on the label. But I had never taken these medications. I had never been prescribed them. Agent Jackson examined the bottles. These are controlled substances. I'll bet Dr. Vincent prescribed them fraudulently. Claire was likely mixing them into your food or drink to keep you drowsy, to make you seem genuinely confused and disoriented. I felt nauseous. How many times had I felt strangely tired after dinner? How many times had I had trouble concentrating for no reason? How many times had Claire made me relaxing tea before bed? She was drugging me, slowly, systematically, building the illusion of dementia with chemistry as well as lies. It was monstrous. It was calculated. It was evil. The search lasted 3 hours. They confiscated computers, Cell phones, documents, medications, everything. The house was left a mess. Drawers open, closets searched, papers everywhere. But it didn't matter anymore. It wasn't my home. It was a crime scene. Agent Jackson closed her notebook. Mrs. Eleanor, we have more than enough evidence. Your daughter and son-in-law are going to face serious charges. Dr. Vincent will be arrested in the next few hours. We are also investigating the lawyer who prepared the fraudulent sales contracts. This criminal network is bigger than we initially thought. They are all going to pay. I sat on the living room sofa. The same sofa where Claire used to sit with me to watch movies when she was little. Where we celebrated her birthdays. Where my husband read the newspaper every Sunday. Now it was all contaminated. Every corner of this house held poisoned memories. Arthur sat next to me. Eleanor, you can't stay here. This house is no longer emotionally safe for you. You need a new place. A space without these memories. I have a friend who rents furnished apartments. We can go see one today if you like. You just need to take the essentials. We can organize the rest later. I looked around. 40 years of life within these walls. Photographs of Claire on every shelf. Her graduation portrait. Her wedding photo. All lies. All a mask. You're right. I can't stay here. Let's go. I went up to my room and packed a suitcase. Clothes. Personal documents, photographs of my husband, jewelry he had given me. I ignored everything that had to do with Claire, her gifts, her letters, her childhood drawings that I had saved like treasures. They meant nothing anymore. They were relics of a person who never really existed, or who ceased to exist at some point I couldn't identify. I came down with the suitcase. Agent Jackson was still in the living room, supervising her agents as they finished documenting everything. Mrs. Eleanor, I need you to sign here, confirming you authorized this search and that the evidence was collected in your presence. I signed without even reading it. Arthur took me to see the apartment. It was in a modern building about 20 minutes from downtown. 3rd floor, 2 bedrooms, living dining room, equipped kitchen. A small balcony overlooking a park. It was bright, clean, impersonal, perfect. I like it. I want to rent this place. The owner, a kind woman in her 50s named Marta, smiled. Excellent. I can have the lease ready for tomorrow. It's $1,200 a month, plus deposit. Arthur took out his checkbook. I'll take care of the first month and the deposit. Eleanor, you can pay me back later when you have full access to your accounts. No, Arthur, you've done too much already. He shook his head. Your husband was my friend. This is the least I can do. I moved in that same afternoon. Arthur helped me carry up my suitcase. He brought me basic groceries from the supermarket. Coffee, bread, milk, fruit, canned food. He also bought me new sheets, towels, and toiletries. He was acting like the son I never had. Like the family I thought I had, but which turned out to be an illusion. Thank you, Arthur. Truly. Thank you for everything. I don't know how I'll ever repay you. He placed a hand on my shoulder. You don't owe me anything. Just promise me you'll take care of yourself. That you'll get through this. That you won't let this destroy you. I promise. That night, I slept better than I had in nights. Not because I was calm, but because I was exhausted, physically and emotionally drained. I didn't dream. I didn't think. I just sank into a dark void for 8 hours. I woke up to the sun streaming through the window, disoriented for a moment. Where was I? What had happened? Then it all came back. Claire, Julian, the recordings, the arrest, my new life in this unfamiliar apartment. I got up. I made coffee. I sat on the balcony and watched the park. There were children playing, mothers pushing strollers, elderly people walking slowly, normal life. Life that continued, indifferent to my personal tragedy. Arthur called me mid-morning. Eleanor, I have news. Dr. Vincent was arrested last night at his office. He tried to flee, but they caught him at the airport. He had a ticket to Guatemala. They also found he has 5 other similar cases. Families who hired him to declare elderly relatives incompetent. He's a professional criminal. He's going to spend many years in prison. Also, Claire and Julian had their initial hearing. The judge denied them bail. He considered them a flight risk. They will remain in custody until the trial. That could take months. I felt something strange. It wasn't satisfaction. It wasn't revenge. It was just emptiness. My daughter was in a jail cell, sleeping on a hard cot, eating prison food, wearing an orange jumpsuit, and I felt nothing. Not sadness, not relief, just a huge hole where a mother's love used to be. Thank you for letting me know, Arthur. He hesitated before continuing. Eleanor, there's something else. Claire wants to see you. She submitted a formal request for a visit. You are not obligated to accept. In fact, I recommend you don't go. It won't do you any good. My heart skipped a beat. See her. Face her. Hear what she had to say now that she was locked up. No, I don't want to see her. Not now, maybe never. I understand. I will deny the request. 3 weeks passed. I settled into the apartment routine. I walked in the park every morning. I read books I had put off for years. I watched old movies. I cooked simple meals for myself. Slowly, very slowly, I began to feel like a person again. Not a victim, not a betrayed mother, just Eleanor. A 69-year-old woman rebuilding her life from scratch. Arthur came to visit me twice a week. He brought me case updates. He helped me with bank paperwork to regain full control of my accounts. He accompanied me to appointments with the notary to legally protect all my properties. One day, there was a knock on my door. It was Sophia, the housekeeper who had saved me, Mrs. Eleanor, I hope I'm not bothering you. I wanted to see you, to make sure you were okay. I let her in. I made tea. We sat in the small living room. Sophia was a young woman in her early 30s. Long brown hair, gentle eyes, nervous hands that wouldn't stay still. Thank you, Sophia. Thank you for risking yourself for me. She shook her head. I couldn't stay quiet. When I heard Mrs. Claire talking on the phone about committing you, about the false documents, about the money, I knew I had to do something, but I didn't know how. I had no proof. So I started recording conversations with my cell phone. For 2 weeks, I recorded everything I could. When Mrs. Claire caught me and fired me, I already had enough material. I wrote you that note. I gave you the recordings, and I prayed I was in time. You were in time. You saved my life. If it weren't for you, I'd be locked in a psychiatric ward right now, drugged, lost, robbed. Sophia wiped away tears. My grandmother went through something similar years ago. An uncle put her in a horrible nursing home to get her pension. She died there, alone, confused, not understanding why her own family abandoned her. When I saw that Mrs. Claire was planning to do the same to you, I couldn't let it happen. Not again. Not to another grandmother. Not to another mother. We hugged. 2 strangers, united by an act of courage, by a moment of humanity, in the midst of so much darkness. Sophia became my friend. She came to visit me every week. She told me about her life, about her studies. She was studying nursing at night while working during the day. She had dreams, plans, a future. I decided to help her. I paid her full tuition. $15,000. She cried. I can't accept this, Mrs. Eleanor. It's too much. I insisted. You gave me my life. Let me give you your future. You deserve to study without worrying. You deserve opportunities. Please, accept it. She finally accepted. She promised me that when she graduated, she would help other elderly people, protect them, be their voice when no one else would listen. Arthur called me one morning in April. Eleanor, the trial is scheduled for May 15th. They're going to need you to testify. You're going to have to face Claire in court. You're going to have to tell your story in front of a judge and jury. It's going to be hard, very hard, but it's necessary. I'm ready, Arthur. I'll testify. I'll tell the truth. And I'll look her in the eye while I do it. Good. We'll prepare your testimony. We'll go over every detail. By the time that day comes, you will be completely prepared. May 15th arrived faster than I expected. I woke up with a knot in my stomach. Today, I would face Claire in the courtroom. Today, I would have to tell my story in front of strangers. Today, I would have to relive every moment of betrayal while my daughter watched me from the defendant's table. I dressed carefully. A dark gray suit, a white blouse, comfortable closed-toe shoes. Arthur had advised me to look respectable, serious, credible, like the competent woman I am. Not like the fragile victim Claire wanted everyone to believe I was. Arthur picked me up at 8 o'clock in the morning. The trial began at 9. We arrived at the courthouse with half an hour to spare. It was an old, imposing building with stone columns and hallways that smelled of old paper and fear. We sat on a bench outside courtroom 3. Agent Jackson arrived shortly after. "Good morning, Mrs. Eleanor. How are you feeling?" "Nervous, but ready." She nodded. "Good. Remember, when you're on the stand, just answer the questions you're asked. Be clear, be direct. Don't let the defense attorney intimidate you. He's going to try to confuse you, to make you seem vengeful or irrational. Stay calm, tell the truth. The truth always wins." We entered the courtroom. It was smaller than I imagined. Cream-colored walls, dark wood benches for the public, the judge's bench at the front. Elevated, imposing. 2 tables in front of it, one for the prosecution, one for the defense. And there they were, Claire and Julian. Sitting side by side with their lawyers, Claire wore a simple black dress, no makeup, hair pulled back, trying to look humble, innocent. When our eyes met, she didn't look away. She held my gaze with something that looked like a challenge. As if to say, "You still think you're going to win this?" The judge entered. All rise. He was a man in his 60s. Completely white hair, a stern expression, wire-rimmed glasses. "He Saturday. You may be seated. This court is now in session. The case of the state versus Claire Martinez Ochoa and Julian Ochoa Rendon. Prosecution, you may proceed with your first witness." Agent Jackson stood up. "The state calls Mrs. Eleanor Martinez to the stand." My heart was beating so hard I thought everyone could hear it. I stood up. I walked to the witness stand. I swore to tell the truth. I sat down. The microphone in front of me amplified every breath. Agent Jackson started with simple questions. Full name, age, current address, relationship to the defendants. Then the questions became harder. When did you first notice something was wrong? Can you describe the incidents your daughter alleged proved your supposed dementia? When did you receive the envelope with the recordings? I began to tell, slowly, my voice trembling at first, but then, firmer, stronger. I told everything. The supposed lapses in memory that never happened. The medical appointments with Dr. Vincent. The pills they found in my room. The recordings where Claire and Julian planned to have me committed. The plan to steal my property and my money. Claire's lawyer stood up for the cross-examination. He was a man in his 40s. Expensive black suit, condescending smile. "Mrs. Martinez, you are 69 years old, correct?" "Yes, and it's normal for people at that age to begin experiencing memory problems, isn't it?" "Sometimes. But I do not have memory problems." He smiled. "But how can you be sure? If you had memory problems, you wouldn't remember that you had them. That's part of the illness. Because Dr. Cole, a certified psychiatrist, evaluated me completely and confirmed that I am of sound mind. His report is in evidence." The lawyer changed tactics. "Isn't it true that you and your daughter had disagreements about the handling of family finances?" "No, we never argued about money. And isn't it true that you refused to give your daughter access to financial information that she had a legitimate right to know?" "She had no right to it. My husband's will was very clear. I am the sole heir to his assets. Claire receives a monthly allowance until my death. After that, everything passes to her. That is what her father established." The lawyer pressed. "But $2,000 a month is very little, considering you have over $700,000 in assets. Don't you think that's unfair to your daughter?" "My husband made that decision because he knew his daughter better than I thought I did. Now I understand why." The lawyer showed feigned exasperation. "Mrs. Martinez, isn't it possible that you misinterpreted innocent conversations? That your daughter and son-in-law were simply worried about your well-being and were exploring legitimate care options? I misinterpreted nothing. They are on tape planning to drug me, forge medical documents, bribe a doctor, and steal from me. That is not care. That is a crime. The judge intervened. Counselor, get to your point or finish your cross-examination. The lawyer gave up. No further questions. I stepped down from the stand. My legs barely held me, but I made it. Other witnesses followed. Sophia testified about the conversations she overheard while working in my house. Dr. Seventisne. Cole explained his psychiatric evaluation and why I showed no signs of dementia. A forensic accountant detailed how Claire and Julian had tried to illegally access my bank accounts. An investigator from the DA's office explained the fraudulent sales contracts they found. Every testimony was another nail in the coffin of Claire's defense. Then it was Dr. Vincent's turn. He was also facing charges but had agreed to cooperate with the prosecution for a reduced sentence. He took the stand with a defeated expression. Yes, Claire Martinez paid me $10,000 to falsify her mother's medical evaluations. Yes, I signed documents declaring Mrs. Eleanor had severe dementia without having properly evaluated her. Yes, I prescribed controlled medications in her name so they could sedate her without her knowledge. I have done it before with other patients. It's more common than people think. Families willing to pay to get rid of inconvenient elderly relatives. Finally, Claire took the stand. Her lawyer tried to portray her as a worried daughter who made poor decisions out of desperation. Miss Martinez, can you explain to the jury why you took these actions? Claire looked at the jury with tear-filled eyes, perfectly rehearsed. I was desperate. My mother. She wasn't the same after Dad died. She was depressed. She was neglecting her health. I was afraid she would hurt herself. I just wanted to help her. Maybe I made the wrong decisions, but my intentions were good. Agent Jackson jumped to her feet. Objection, the defendant is lying. We have recordings where she admits she did it for the money, not out of concern. The judge allowed the prosecution to play the full recordings for the jury. Claire's voice filled the room. Mom had her life. Now it's my turn. As soon as she's committed, we can access her accounts. This changes our lives. I watched the jury react. Expressions of disgust, of indignation, of horror. Claire tried to explain. I was frustrated when I said that. I didn't mean it. It was just venting. But no one believed her. The evidence was overwhelming, irrefutable, condemning. The trial lasted 3 days. Testimonies, evidence, closing arguments. Finally, the jury retired to deliberate. We waited 4 hours in the hallway. Arthur brought me coffee. Sophia held my hand. Agent Jackson reviewed documents. I just stared at the floor, thinking about everything I had lost. Not just money or property, but my daughter, my only family. Though I now understood I had lost her a long time ago. Or maybe I never really had her. The jury returned. All rise. The jury foreperson, a woman in her 50s with glasses, read the verdict. In the case of the state versus Claire Martinez Ochoa and Julian Ochoa Rendon, on the charge of conspiracy to commit fraud, we find the defendants guilty. On the charge of forgery, guilty. On the charge of attempted kidnapping, guilty. On the charge of elder financial abuse, guilty. Claire collapsed. She began to sob. Julian just lowered his head. The judge spoke. Sentencing will be held in 30 days. Until then, the defendants will remain in custody. This court is adjourned. The gavel struck. It was over. I left the courthouse with Arthur and Sophia on either side of me. Outside, there were reporters, cameras, shouted questions. Mrs. Martinez, how do you feel? What message do you have for other families? Will you forgive your daughter? I didn't answer. I just walked. To the car. To my new life. Forward. 30 days later, I returned to the courthouse for the sentencing. This time, I felt different, stronger, more certain. I was no longer the frightened woman who had fled her home with an envelope in her hand. I was a survivor, a woman who had faced the worst and come out the other side. Arthur walked beside me with his leather briefcase. Sophia had taken time off work to accompany me. You're not alone, Mrs. Eleanor. You'll never be alone again." Her words comforted me. The courtroom was full, fuller than during the trial. Curious onlookers, distant relatives who never cared about me but now wanted to witness the scandal, reporters taking notes. The judge entered, and we all stood. They brought in Claire and Julian. She looked gaunt. She had lost weight. She had deep, dark circles under her eyes. Her hair was dull. Custody had destroyed her physically. Julian looked no better. Shoulders slumped, gaze lost. Two people who had gambled everything and lost it all. The judge began. "I have carefully reviewed all the elements of this case, the testimonies, the evidence, the defendants' backgrounds. And I must say, this is one of the most disturbing cases I have seen in my 30 years on the bench. The betrayal of a daughter toward her mother. The cold, calculated conspiracy to strip an elderly woman of her freedom and her assets. The involvement of a corrupt medical professional. All of this speaks to a profound moral degradation." The judge paused. He looked directly at Claire. "Miss Martinez, do you have anything to say before I pass sentence?" Claire stood up, trembling. Her lawyer tried to help her, but she waved him away. "Your Honor, I just want to tell my mother that I'm sorry. That I'm so sorry for everything. That I let myself be blinded by ambition, by envy, by resentment. That there is no justification for what I did. That I understand if she never forgives me." She turned to me. "Mom, I destroyed everything. I destroyed our relationship. I destroyed my life. I destroyed trust. And the worst part is, I did it consciously. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a decision I made, day after day, for months. And now I have to live with that, forever." Her tears seemed genuine, but they no longer moved me. She had cried too many false tears in front of me over the years. How could I know which ones were real now? The judge continued. "Remorse is important, but it does not erase the damage done. Miss Martinez, you conspired to deprive your mother of her liberty, to steal her assets, to destroy her reputation and her mental health. These actions deserve a severe punishment. For the crimes of conspiracy to commit fraud, forgery, attempted kidnapping, and elder financial abuse, I sentence you to 12 years in prison, with no possibility of parole for the first 6 years." Claire screamed. "No, please, 12 years. I'll be 46 years old when I get out. My life will be over." Her lawyer held her. The judge banged his gavel. "Silence. Mr. Ochoa, please rise." Julian stood with difficulty. "You actively participated in this conspiracy. You bribed a doctor. You prepared fraudulent documents. You planned the forced commitment. For the same charges, I sentence you to 10 years in prison, with no possibility of parole for the first 5 years." Julian didn't react. He just nodded, as if he expected it. The judge looked at me. "Mrs. Martinez, the law allows for victims to read an impact statement if they wish. Would you like to say anything?" I stood up. Arthur had helped me prepare something, but in that moment, I decided to speak from the heart. "Your Honor, for months I lived in fear. Fear that I was losing my mind. Fear that I was a burden to my daughter. Fear that I couldn't remember things I had supposedly done. That fear consumed me. It made me doubt myself every second. And it was all a lie constructed by my own daughter, the person I trusted most in the world." I took a deep breath. "I lost my husband 2 years ago. That loss almost destroyed me. But this was worse. Because I lost my daughter while she was still alive. I lost the illusion that she loved me. I lost faith in family. I lost the ability to trust. And you don't get those things back with a prison sentence. You don't get them back with an apology. Maybe you never get them back at all. But I learned something. I learned that I am stronger than I thought. That I can survive the worst. That I can rebuild my life from scratch. And no one can take that away from me." I looked directly at Claire. "Claire, I gave you everything. I gave you life. I gave you love. I gave you an education. I gave you opportunities. And you paid me back with betrayal. I don't know if I can ever forgive you. I honestly don't. But I do know that I am going to move on. I am going to live the rest of my years with dignity. I am going to help other people who are going through the same thing. I'm going to make sure your crime wasn't in vain, that it serves to protect other elderly parents from unscrupulous children. That will be your only positive contribution to this world." I sat down. The courtroom was in absolute silence. The judge spoke one last time. "In addition to the prison sentences, I order the defendants to pay full restitution to Mrs. Martinez for all legal fees and emotional damages. The amount will be determined in a subsequent hearing. I also order that both defendants are prohibited from contacting the victim for the next 20 years. Any violation of this order will result in additional charges. Court is adjourned." The gavel fell. The officers led Claire and Julian away. She turned one last time. Our eyes met. I saw something in her eyes that surprised me. It wasn't hate. It wasn't remorse. It was resignation, acceptance. The look of someone who had lost everything because of her own greed. We left the courthouse. This time, I ignored the reporters. I got into Arthur's car. Sophia was in the back seat. "How do you feel, Eleanor?" "I don't know. Relieved, maybe. Sad, empty. It's strange. I won, but I feel like I lost." Arthur drove slowly. "It's normal to feel that way. Justice isn't the same as healing. You got justice, the healing, that will take time. But it will come. I promise you." Sophia leaned forward from the back and squeezed my shoulder. "And we'll be with you through that process. You're not alone." Weeks passed, then months. I started therapy with a psychologist specializing in family trauma, Dr. Julia Hayes, a wise woman in her 60s who helped me process everything: the grief, the betrayal, the guilt. Yes, guilt. Because part of me still wondered if I had been a bad mother, if I had failed in some way, if there were signs I should have seen. Dr. Hayes helped me understand that, no, I did not create Claire's greed. I did not plant evil in her heart. That every person is responsible for their own decisions. One day, I received a letter. It was from Claire, from prison. I held it in my hands for hours before opening it. Finally, I worked up the courage. "Mom, I don't expect you to read this. I don't expect you to reply. I just need to tell you that every day in here, I think about what I did. I see women in here who killed, who stole, who destroyed lives, and I realize, I'm just like them. I crossed a line that you can't come back from. I traded love for money. I traded integrity for ambition. And now I'm paying the price. I'm not asking for your forgiveness, because I don't deserve it. I'm just asking you to move on, to be happy, to live fully. Because if you can't be happy after all this, then I really won. Then I really did destroy you. Don't give me that power." I folded the letter. I put it in a drawer. I didn't reply. Maybe someday. Maybe never. I still didn't know. But her words stayed with me. Don't give me that power. She was right about one thing. If I stayed trapped in the pain, in the bitterness, then she would have won anyway. I needed to move on. I needed to find a purpose. I needed to live. 6 months after the sentencing, I made a decision. I was not going to let my story end in tragedy. I was going to transform my pain into purpose. I contacted a nonprofit organization that protected the rights of senior citizens. They were called Silver Voices. I told them my whole story. The director, a woman named Caroline Vargas, listened intently. "Mrs. Eleanor, your case is more common than you can imagine. Every year, we get hundreds of reports of families financially abusing their elderly members. But few have the courage to report it. Even fewer have evidence as solid as yours. We need people like you, people willing to speak out, to educate, to prevent others from going through the same thing." I became a spokesperson for the organization. I started giving talks at community centers, at churches, at retirement groups. I told my story without shame, without hiding details. I explained the warning signs, the social isolation, the comments about memory and confusion, the gradual financial control, the introduction of new doctors or lawyers. I taught them how to protect themselves legally. Clear wills, limited powers of attorney, bank accounts with automatic alerts, regular independent medical evaluations. Every talk potentially saved someone from my same fate. Sophia graduated from nursing school with honors. At her ceremony, she dedicated her achievement to me. This woman gave me the chance to fulfill my dreams. But more importantly, she taught me that doing the right thing is always worth it. Even if it's hard, even if it's dangerous, even if no one sees you, the truth always finds a way to come out. I cried with pride. She was not my biological daughter, but she had become my family, my real family, the one you choose, the one built on loyalty and genuine love. Arthur remained my guardian angel. He handled my legal affairs. He accompanied me to important events. He became more than my lawyer. He became my friend, my confidant. One day, he invited me to his house for dinner. I met his wife, his children, his grandchildren. A beautiful, warm, real family. His wife hugged me. "Arthur has told us all about you. You are an extraordinary woman. My kids want to meet you. They say you're a hero." I blushed. "I'm not a hero. I'm just a survivor." She shook her head. "It's the same thing. Surviving when everything is against you is the most heroic act of all." I sold my house. The house where I lived for 40 years. Where I raised Claire. Where every corner held a contaminated memory. A young couple with a baby bought it. They were going to renovate it completely. Fill it with new memories. With real love. With honest laughter. I was glad to know it would have a new purpose. That it would stop being the scandal house. The house where a daughter betrayed her mother. With the money from the sale, I paid all my legal debts. I donated $50,000 to Silver Voices. I invested the rest to secure my future. A future that no longer depended on anyone but me. I moved to a smaller condominium near the park. It had an extra bedroom that I turned into an office. From there, I coordinated my talks. I answered emails from people asking for help. I wrote articles about elder abuse for local magazines. My life had meaning again. Not the meaning I expected. Not that of a happy grandmother surrounded by a loving family. But the meaning of someone who transforms trauma into service, who turns pain into protection for others. A year after the trial, I received a call from the prison. Claire wanted to see me. This time, I accepted. Not for her, for me. Because I needed to close that chapter completely. I needed to look her in the eye and confirm that I had moved on. That I had not given her the power to destroy me. I went on a Tuesday afternoon. Arthur offered to come, but I said no. I had to do this alone. The visiting room was cold, with metal tables bolted to the floor, uncomfortable chairs, and the smell of disinfectant and desperation. Claire was led in by a guard. She wore the orange uniform. Her hair was short now, no makeup. She looked older than her 34 years. She sat across from me. For a minute, neither of us spoke. We just looked at each other. Two strangers who were once mother and daughter. Finally, she broke the silence. "Thanks for coming, Mom. I didn't think you would. I came because I needed to see you. I needed to confirm that I'm okay, that I've moved on, that you didn't destroy me." Claire nodded slowly. "I'm glad. I really am. I've had a lot of time to think in here, to understand what I did, to see who I really was, and I don't like what I see, Mom. I was a horrible person. Greedy, selfish, cruel. And the worst part is, I justified it. I convinced myself I had the right. That I deserved more. That you were the one being unfair. But I was the one who was unfair. I was the monster. I took away the most precious years from my own mother. And for what? For money. Money I didn't even desperately need. Just because I wanted more. Always more. I listened without interrupting. "Mom, I don't expect your forgiveness. I know what I did is unforgivable, but I need you to know the remorse is real. Every night, I go to sleep thinking about your face when you found out. About the terror you must have felt, the betrayal, and it destroys me. It literally destroys me from the inside." I replied calmly. "Claire, I spent months wondering what I did wrong, where I failed as a mother. But my therapist helped me understand that it wasn't my fault, that you made your choices, that every person is responsible for their own character. I gave you love. I gave you values. I gave you opportunities. What you did with all that was your choice." She cried. She wept with her whole body, sobs that shook her shoulders. I have 11 more years in here. 11 years to think about what I lost. Not just my freedom. I lost you. I lost my integrity. I lost my future. Julian blames me. He says it was all my idea. That he just followed me. And he's right. I convinced him. I pushed him. I designed the whole plan. I'm the villain of this story. And I have to live with that for the rest of my life. I stood up. The visiting time was ending. Claire, maybe someday I can forgive you. I don't know. Not yet. But what I can tell you is this. Your crime wasn't in vain. Because of what you did to me, I am helping dozens of elderly people protect themselves. I'm giving talks. I'm educating. I'm preventing others from going through the same thing. So in some twisted way, you gave my last years a purpose. It's not the purpose I wanted, but it's the purpose I have. And I'm using it. She looked at me with something like gratitude, mixed with pain. Thank you, Mom. For coming. For telling me that. It helps me see that something good came from something so terrible. I nodded, and I left. I didn't look back. Today, 2 years after that nightmare, I live in peace. It's not a perfect peace. I still have hard days. Days where I cry for the daughter I lost. For the family I'll never have. For the grandchildren I'll never know. But I also have good days. Many good days. Days when I receive letters of thanks from people who heard my talks and protected themselves in time. Days when Sophia comes over for dinner and tells me about her patients. Days when Arthur invites me to family celebrations and they treat me like part of their clan. I've learned that family isn't just blood, it's loyalty, it's genuine love. It's being there when everything falls apart. Sophia is more of a daughter to me than Claire ever was. Arthur is more my family than any biological relative. And the dozens of seniors I've helped, they are my legacy, my true legacy. Not properties or money, but lives protected, families preserved, abuses prevented. That night when Claire slipped me that envelope, whispering, "Pack your things and save yourself," I thought my life was over. But really, it was just beginning. Beginning in a way I never imagined. Painful, difficult, but also meaningful, powerful, real. I had 24 hours to save my life, and I did it. Not only that, I used that experience to save the lives of others, and that, in the end, is the only thing that matters. Not how much money you have, not how many children visit you, but how many lives you touched, how much of a difference you made, how much good you left in the world. I chose to leave good, and that choice saved me far more than any escape. It saved my soul.